what do you guys think could be the next evolution in home theater audio, maybe 10 years from now? Good question, Caesar C.
10
Next
years
evolution
from now.
in home theater audio, 10 years. Let me think 10 years ahead. All right. 10 years. Oh, yeah. You remember back in the day when, we had the calibration was so bad back in the day, right? This is future me. I don't know. I think they're going to learn to simplify things, actually. My guess, I know it sounds crazy, but hopefully 10 years I can look back on this and say, hey, this guy wasn't too crazy. I think we have too many speakers now. I know it sounds nuts, but it's unrealistic to expect people to put so many speakers everywhere.
Sure.
People just don't do it. Our group here, we're the only ones really doing it.
Yeah.
Right? I'm talking about us and you guys who are watching. Most people don't even have a soundbar. I heard the guy who was at Netflix say most people watch Netflix through TV speakers. Like a wide variety, like most people are watching not even from a soundbar. And here we are complaining about soundbars. Right? So I think if we're talking about 10 years from now, we're going to get closer to a true binaural experience, but hopefully without headphones. Right? Because we can already get a binaural experience using headphones, but it's not a shared experience. You know, when you have headphones, you can't even talk to the person next to you like, hey, did you see? You know what I mean? Like if you're watching something that's not critical, like, oh, did you see that? If you're both wearing headphones, you're kind of locked into your own world.
Yeah.
But what if you can have a shared experience? Right? Have you ever watched a comedy in a theater and when everybody laughs, it makes it funny. You hear everybody laughing, right? And I think that part of that is a different configuration. So for not throwing out Dolby Atmos or whatever, I think it's going to build off of that, but in a different configuration. And the reason I say that is because if you listen to Atmos over what is it called? Apple AirPods, you can get an immersive experience. It's a different experience. It's not the same as speakers. You don't feel the bass shaking. There's no pant leg shaking, nothing like that. But it is an experience. It is an immersive experience. But again, with headphones. So I think it's going to be that. I think we're going to have speakers more like binaural speakers on the sides where they're going to use those arrays. That's why I'm so interested in those Wisdom Audio arrays, because those are the ones where when you get closer to them, it doesn't sound like you're necessarily getting closer.
Right.
And so imagine if you had two speakers that were like that on the sides, just two huge columns, right?
Which he did. Which he did.
Yeah, he did.
He did.
So for each row, you have this array, meaning when you get closer to, if you're closer to the speaker, it doesn't necessarily sound that much closer to it.
Correct.
So now you kind of have...
It's a much more balanced approach for all the different seats in the room.
And if you think about it, that's more realistic for a normal house. To have a speaker on both sides is more realistic than a speaker everywhere, right? And so that's what we'd have for the couch. And then if you had multiple seats, then you'd have another pair for each seat. So
yeah.
And then subs, of course. You can't undo subs. Yeah. Maybe some more in-wall subs. And then just a DSP that goes along with all that. That's really close to automatic. And I think it's going to be a target curve or a way of achieving a target curve that nobody even bothers to disagree with. It's just known like, oh, this is the right way to do it. Right now, we're still at a point where like, is this the right target curve? Well, it's still up for debate. And at a certain point, everybody can say, no, this is the right way to do it.
Right.
There's no reason to talk about that. This is all done. So that's how I see it. And maybe more efficient stuff, Class D stuff, smaller and almost like you don't even see the electronics, right?
Right.
Small, and then a lot more maybe ultra short throw type of setups, or not even ultra short throw. It could be like, self-emissive stuff, but huge screens at cheap, like, Black Friday deals.
Right.
How about you? That was a lot.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's hard to tell because we probably never dreamed. Well, I know I didn't dream 20, 30 years ago when I first got into home theater with Dolby Pro Logic that we would be installing ceiling speakers. I mean, that's crazy that we'd have subwoofers that can reach down to single digits. That doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? So it's hard to predict. Like, and I think with especially electronics, the rate at which things change are exponentially changing, you know? And I remember when my grandfather was alive, I told him, I said, Granddad, I said, I bet you've seen a lot of changes in your 80 something years, you know? And he had, but the reality is we have seen so much more than my granddad ever saw change in technology.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Because
it's amazing to think about.
It's rapidly changing.
Yeah.
You know, the things that we can do. I mean, think about this. 40 years ago, people died because of certain diseases. Mm-hmm. Now we have at least medicine and we have treatments and, you know, they didn't have that technology back then. And so there's so much. So what's going to happen in 10 years, man, I have no idea where this.
What would you like to see happen? Like what's a wish list type of thing that you might say, I would like to see this happen? Honestly,
all right. So wireless speakers that are somehow wireless, you know,
so like charging. You need to charge. Where does the power come from?
I think the vibration from the bass in the room powers somehow. I don't know, man. See, that's the challenge. Because here's the thing: installing and running wires through your walls, that's always a challenge. You know, running cables along your, you know, for people that have hardwood floors or tile floors in their living room, where do you run those cables for the surrounds? It makes it really difficult. So if there's a way to truly make wireless speakers, you know, but as of right now, we at least have a power cable. Yeah. So, you know.
Yeah. This is crazy. Imagine if you would have went to high school and you brought your cell phone.
Yeah.
What do you think that day would be like if you're like, you know, let's pretend that all the, you know, internet worked and you still had YouTube and all that. Yeah. And if you went and you're like just scrolling around like, hey, everybody's like, whoa. I think you'd have a crowd around you pretty quickly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
That's crazy. Sure. Yeah, that was a good question. I like that one.
It was a good question.
I'd like to return to that one day and see if there are any more ideas coming along.
All right. If you would like to join us every week on Mondays at, what time is it? About 6 p.m. Central, which is the best time. That's where I am. Make sure you join us at youtube.com/Daily HiFi. We out.